What if one man could do twice as many miracles as his legendary predecessor? Meet Elisha, the prophet whose unwavering faith not only defied expectations, but changed the course of history. Elisha's story begins in the shadow of a giant. Elijah, his mentor, was no ordinary prophet. He was a man who called fire from the heavens and ascended to God in a whirlwind. Yet, Elisha dared to ask for more, not just to follow in Elijah's footsteps, but to surpass them. He sought a double portion of his spirit, a request so audacious that it seemed impossible. But how does a man inherit such extraordinary power? What price did Elisha pay for this divine gift? And what does his journey teach us about faith, determination, and legacy? Today, we'll uncover the incredible tale of Elisha, his boldness, his miracles, and the moment when heaven itself acknowledged his calling. From parting rivers to raising the dead, this is a story of faith amplified, of one man's extraordinary mission to show the world what is possible when divine power meets unwavering belief. So let's dive into this epic story of transformation and legacy, where faith is tested, miracles abound, and the impossible becomes reality. To truly understand the power behind Elisha's miracles, we need to first meet the man himself. Elisha wasn't born into greatness. He was a simple farmer working the land when a mysterious figure came into his life. That figure was Elijah, the prophet whose deeds had already become legendary. One day, Elijah found Elisha plowing the fields and cast his cloak over him, a symbolic gesture that marked the beginning of a transformative journey. Elisha, without a hesitation, left everything behind: his plow, his farm, his life as he knew it. He was called to follow Elijah, to learn from him, and to inherit the mantle of prophecy. In that moment, Elisha's life was set on a path of divine purpose, and he chose to embrace it fully. As Elisha followed his mentor, the time came when Elijah was to leave this world. Before Elijah ascended to heaven, he offered Elisha one final opportunity. "Ask me what I can do for you before I am taken from you." Elisha's request was audacious. He asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit, a request not just for power, but for something much deeper. You see, the mantle of Elijah was not just a physical cloak. It was a symbol of spiritual inheritance, responsibility, and legacy. A double portion wasn't about receiving twice the power. It was about carrying forward a legacy of faith, determination, and divine mission. Imagine an heir inheriting a vast fortune, but not just the wealth. Along with it comes the weight of responsibility. This double portion was Elisha's inheritance, not only of Elijah's power, but also of his mission to lead, inspire, and serve. It was as if Elisha was taking on the mantle of a great leader, tasked with the challenge of continuing Elijah's work and surpassing it. Just as an heir carries the dreams and hopes of the family, Elisha was called to carry the divine promise of a new chapter in Israel's history. Elisha's story resonates deeply with each of us. His journey isn't just about ancient prophecies or miraculous feats. It's about mentorship, ambition, and spiritual growth. We all have moments when we must choose to follow a path laid before us, whether it's the guidance of a mentor, the pursuit of a higher purpose, or the decision to leave behind the comfort of what we know for something greater. Elisha's double portion is a reflection of that very choice: to embrace the challenge of legacy and to rise to the calling of a greater destiny. In his journey, we see the universal themes of growth, sacrifice, and the pursuit of purpose. So as we move forward, let's explore what happens when Elisha steps into the role that was destined for him. What does it truly mean to inherit such a legacy? And how does Elisha's journey unfold in a way that exceeds even the most miraculous of expectations? To understand the magnitude of Elisha's story, we must first witness the moment that set the stage for everything. Elijah, Elisha's mentor, had long been a man of fiery passion and incredible power. But when the time came for Elijah to depart, the scene was nothing short of extraordinary. As they walked together, Elijah and Elisha stood at the edge of the Jordan River, the weight of the moment hanging between them. Suddenly, a whirlwind appeared, and from the sky a chariot of fire, pulled by horses of fire, descended to take Elijah away. The earth itself seemed to tremble as Elijah was lifted up in a blaze of glory, ascending to heaven. In that dramatic moment, Elisha, now standing alone, realized that his life had just changed forever. Imagine it, the chariot of fire racing across the sky, the horses galloping on nothing but pure energy. The sight was awe-inspiring, a vision of the heavens opening up to claim one of God's greatest servants. But this wasn't the end for Elisha. It was his moment of transformation. As Elijah ascended, he left behind his mantle, a cloak on the ground. Elisha, now holding the cloak, knew what had just been entrusted to him, the legacy of Elijah and the promise of something even greater. Before the fiery chariot, Elisha had one request, a bold, almost unimaginable request. As Elijah prepared to leave, Elisha turned to him and said, "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." It was a request not for wealth, not for fame, but for something much more profound, the divine power to continue Elijah's work, but to do even more. This double portion wasn't just about miracles. It was about spiritual responsibility, the weight of carrying forward a legacy of faith and divine intervention. Moments after Elijah ascended, Elisha stood by the Jordan River, the mantle of Elijah in his hand. The moment was electric, filled with anticipation. Elisha took the cloak, and with one decisive action, he struck the waters of the Jordan River. As the cloak touched the river, something extraordinary happened. The waters parted, just as they had done for Elijah years before. This was no coincidence. It was a divine confirmation. Elisha had received the double portion he had requested, and the mantle of Elijah had passed to him. From that moment on, Elisha's life became a testament to the incredible power of God. One of his first miracles came in the city of Jericho. The waters of the city were poisoned, unfit for drinking. The people were desperate, but Elisha acted with divine authority. He took a bowl, filled it with salt, and cast it into the water, declaring, "This is what the Lord says. I have healed this water." Miraculously, the water became pure again, and the people of Jericho were saved. Another miracle followed when Elisha encountered a widow in dire straits. Her oil had run out, and creditors were about to take her children as slut. Elisha instructed her to gather as many empty jars as she could find, and he filled them with oil, enough to pay off her debts and sustain her family. This act of divine provision was more than just a miracle. It was a scene of Elisha's growing power and compassion. Elisha's miracles were not just a repetition of Elijah's. No, they were a fulfillment of the promise of a double portion. Where Elijah had performed mighty acts, Elisha now surpassed him. Elijah called down fire from heaven. Elisha healed the sick, raised the dead, and performed wonders that impacted the very fabric of society. His miracles were not random. They were purposeful, deeply connected to the needs of the people and the will of God. But was it just about the miracles, or was there a deeper purpose behind Elisha's power? These acts weren't just signs of divine might. They were a call to transformation, to heal, to restore, and to bring hope where there was none. Elisha's power wasn't for himself. It was a divine gift to bless others, to fulfill the mission that had been passed down to him. But like any great story, Elisha's journey wasn't without challenges. Despite his extraordinary abilities, Elisha faced skepticism from the very people he sought to help. At times, even his closest followers doubted his divine authority. In one instance, a group of young men mocked him for his appearance, calling him baldy. Elisha, in a moment of righteous anger, called down a curse upon them, and 2 bears emerged from the forest, mauling the young men. This moment reminds us that Elisha wasn't just a prophet of miracles. He was also a prophet of justice, who wielded his power with a deep sense of authority. Yet, it wasn't just moments of confrontation that defined Elisha. His greatest triumphs were the moments when he acted with compassion. In the case of the Shunammite woman, whose son had died, Elisha performed one of his most remarkable miracles. He laid himself upon the child's body, and after a tense moment, the boy's body grew warm again. He had been resurrected, restored to life. Another monumental miracle came when Elisha healed Naaman, a Syrian general who had been struck with leprosy. Despite his initial resistance, Naaman followed Elisha's instructions and washed in the Jordan River. Miraculously, his leprosy was cleansed, and he returned to his people with a testimony of God's power that reached far beyond Israel. Through these powerful miracles, Elisha not only surpassed the legacy of his mentor, Elijah, but also paved the way for a new chapter of hope, healing, and divine intervention. But what was the real source of his power? Was it the mantle he wore, or was there something deeper, something that transcended the miracles themselves? Let's continue to explore the lasting impact of Elisha's faith and how his journey connects to us today. Elisha's double portion wasn't just about power. It was a profound testament to faith, perseverance, and the extraordinary belief that the impossible can be achieved through divine guidance. You see, his story wasn't simply one of performing miracles. It was about his unwavering trust in God, even when faced with obstacles that seemed insurmountable. A double portion wasn't just about doubling the feats of his predecessor. It was about the magnitude of faith required to act boldly and to trust in God's will, even when it seemed beyond human comprehension. Elisha's request was not born from ambition, but from a deep understanding of his calling. It was a manifestation of his faith that something greater could be achieved, something beyond the limits of human understanding. When we reflect on Elisha's legacy, it's clear that his life was about more than just miraculous feats. He carried forward a legacy of purpose, of continuing the work of those who came before him. His journey mirrors our own. We too inherit legacies, whether they are from mentors, family, or society, and with them comes responsibility. How do we carry forward the lessons of those who paved the way for us? What do we pass on to the next generation? Elisha didn't just inherit Elijah's mantle, he inherited his mission, his purpose, and his vision. And in doing so, he was able to shape a new legacy, one that transcended the miracles he performed and extended into the hearts of those he touched. So, what does Elisha's story mean for us today? What kind of legacy are we building for the next generation? What are we passing on to those who come after us? And how do we seek our own double portion in life, not of power, but of purpose? In a world that often focuses on success, wealth, and recognition, Elisha's example reminds us that true greatness lies in how we serve others, how we live our faith, and how we dedicate our lives to making a positive difference. The question is, how will we use the gifts we've been given to impact the world around us? What do we want our legacy to be? Just like Elisha's request for a double portion, we can all ask for a greater portion of purpose and service in our own lives. It's not about miracles or fame, but about making an enduring impact, a lasting change that outlives us. Will we be remembered for our deeds, for the legacy we pass on, and the lives we touched? The true power lies not in the miracles we see, but in the way we inspire others to believe in the impossible. Elisha's story teaches us that when we trust in God's purpose for our lives, we too can achieve greatness beyond our wildest dreams. Elisha's life reminds us that greatness is not measured by what we inherit, but by how we choose to use it to serve others. It's not about the miracles, the signs, or the wonders. It's about the way Elisha embraced his calling, how he took what was given to him, no matter how immense, and chose to pass it forward. He didn't just inherit Elijah's mantle, he inherited a mission, a purpose, and with it, the responsibility to act. His double portion wasn't just about the supernatural. It was about how he lived out his faith in every miracle, in every act of service, and in every life he touched. So let me ask you, what would you ask for if you could receive your own double portion? Would you seek more power, more wealth, or something far more meaningful, more purpose, more influence to change lives, to serve others? Elisha's request teaches us something profound about the human condition. It's not about receiving power for personal gain. It's about taking what's been entrusted to you and using it for the greater good. How would you use that double portion to impact the world around you, to touch lives, to leave a legacy? If you've been inspired by Elisha's story, there's so much more to explore. The Bible is filled with hidden heroes, men and women who shaped the course of history in ways we often overlook. Their stories, though sometimes hidden in the pages of ancient text, have timeless lessons to teach us about faith, courage, and living with purpose. Join us as we uncover more of these incredible stories and reflect on our own spiritual journeys. What lessons will we learn, and what impact will we leave behind? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more stories like Elisha's that will inspire you to live with greater purpose. And remember, your own journey might be more powerful than you think, because the double portion isn't just a story from the past, it's a challenge for today.